Hi, this is Tom Childers. I'm back, and I'm here to talk about space between blue and green. We have elitism. It's a bit like meritocracy and technocracy. It also has a lot to do with academia and like scientific organizations, the British Royal Society. There's like cloud foundations and like professional organizations, like the people that set up the USB standards. That's a very strong blue power and energy. And this the energy of green, sometimes it gets like a bad name because when you think of the words of revolution, anarchy, Mother Nature, it feels a little bit like destruction, and it is in a way, but it's not necessarily destruction as tearing down to the ground, razing, but it could be creative destruction, as in breaking bad habits or correcting course. And so there's like a lot of things that we need to pay attention to in our lives and in our society to be mindful of. And so one of the questions I really like asking people who are environmentalists that I get in arguments with is, whose environment? And they're like, they don't know how to answer the question, which is something that I partly enjoy, because it's our environment is what the answer to the question is, because it's an environment of a subject, and we're the subject if we're the ones talking about the environment. So you can't really care about the environment without recognizing whose environment it is. And so, like Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders, he's a conservationist, and I share a lot of like well wishes with him and that whole environmentalist movement. And this dream of having answers, figuring things out, and having the good people of the world run the good things well, and the idea of break the system and rearrange it so that we can get what we want and fix the problems of yesterday, it leads us to this teal promised land where you have shed the constraints of the dogmatic traditions, and you have fought against those who act as though they are making better decisions than you. And so it's like this like freedom in a sense of all that is before. And what I would probably like lead us to right here is, this is Green Day in all of its glory, and Dookie, their biggest album. And we don't need to stay here, but we need to know what's like here, because we all have in our hearts a wish to just let it all go. Queen has a very strong song, "I Want to Break Free," and it's a real sentiment that each of us shares to like a greater extent, but the way it incorporates itself into societies is a particular way, because as it gets institutionalized, as elitism gains power and revolutions break down society, we go down a road. And the road that we go down philosophically is, like the headline is, nihilism. Because after you break and after you claim to know eternally, and you change and revolt against all that had been known previously, you have a formula that guarantees nihilism. And escapism. And the long road down. We wish it was utopia. It turns into dystopia. It's not all that bad, but it is definitely not where all the good is. The way in and out of this portal is through Burning Man. There's Wasteland Weekend on one side and V for Vendetta on the other. Never the two shall pass, shall cross. And there's an anecdote. And that anecdote to this is the underlying philosophical premise behind the rise of popularity of Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, which is its opposite Tradcons, and the rediscovery of values and sacred wisdom embodied by self-responsibility. Oh, I could have gone longer. That was weird.